It's a beautiful day here in sunny Rio Rancho. You can see my folks are here visiting. That's their motorhome in front of the camper here. And but it's just too nice a day, so I figured no better time than to do my annual sanitize for the freshwater system on the camper. So it's really a really simple process. I got this RV Sanitizer filler. I'll show you a box and show you what this thing's all about. Picked it up at the RV show in Tucson a few weeks ago and wanted to give it a shot. And so I run from the city water connection side, right? Then the sanitizer, and then the hose that I use in the campground. And that's how we'll pump the chlorine into the camper. So we've got 80 gallons of fresh water. So we're going to use 2 cups total, 1 cup now, and I'll fill it again afterwards. But you just pour it into this little plastic gizmo. And then cap it off. And then when you run the water through, it pushes the bleach through with the water. And it'll sanitize my RV hose as well as fill my fresh tank. So off we go. If you don't have one of these, it's from Camco. It makes filling a gravity fill camper much easier without trying to stuff the hose in the hole. And I'll show you how we use it over here. So I think I've had this Camco adapter for 15 years, right? It still works fine. Got it connected to the water hose. The hose is all pressurized. We just stick it in here and let it start filling. I do things a little different than some folks. So typically I'll leave the hot water heater and allow it to fill with the bleach. And then at the end of it, I'll take out the plug and drain the hot water heater and then flush all the bleach out. But I do sanitize the hot water heater because we use the water in the camper. We drink the water in the camper, and I just want it all sanitized. So it seems like if I take the cap off here and then I hold it up high enough, I can get this container to empty so that I can then put in another cup of bleach. Okay, so we're filling the tank. As you can see, we're at 2 bars now. When it gets almost full, then I'll turn on the hot water side and at the kitchen sink and let it run until I smell bleach. That'll fill the hot water tank with the bleach water. And then I'll run all the rest of the spigots and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm showing 4 bars. I know we have a lot more to go yet to fill it up, but I go ahead and start the hot water tank flow so that I can make sure all the tanks end up full. All right, so turn on the hot water. And it's like a 16-gallon hot water tank, so it's going to take a little while before I get much bleach coming out over here. Oh, got to turn on the water pump. A lot of people love to talk about how inaccurate the gauges are. They're not wrong, but they're still usable, right? So I know on my rig, the freshwater tank it gets to 4 bars and it still takes a lot of water, right? So I probably have 15-20 gallons that I'm going to be pumping in there. It's still filling right now. You'll notice my black, gray, and gray tanks all show 0 bars, right? And they are all empty right now. So I have pretty good luck using them. You just kind of learn how they work on your individual camper because they all work as far as how they read and what they show a little bit differently. Flushing and cleaning out the black tank is how I get it to actually function here. So having that built-in SaniFlush that has the sprayer inside the tank that sprays around allows me to get it nice and clean in there, and I don't have reading issues like a lot of people do. Okay, tank's been running for a little bit. I definitely have the smell of bleach coming out of the hot water tank, so I'll shut that guy down and let the fresh tank keep filling. Once it's done, then we'll let it sit for 5 to 8 hours. Okay, so after you've got all the chlorine in the tank, in the freshwater tank, then go to each of your spigots and run them till you smell bleach. Don't forget your outside shower. A lot of people forget to do that. And so I'm just doing that right here without getting myself wet. Turn it on, let it run for a few seconds. Smell the bleach, do that for hot and cold, and you'll be good to go. So let's talk a little more about this thing. It's called the RV Inline Sanitizer. It definitely makes it easier to put the bleach into the freshwater tank. Now, my tank is a gravity fill, which isn't that hard to do normally. I used to use a funnel and just pour it in. This made it easier, not tremendously easier. The if I had a motorhome or a fifth wheel or a camper that filled the freshwater tank from the city water connection on the side, this would be a huge advantage because it's kind of tough to pour bleach into the hose in order to flush it through the system, and this would definitely make the life easier if you have a setup where it fills from the city water connection on the side. If you have a gravity fill, it's a little less useful, but I still call it a good purchase. I bought it from the manufacturer, from the guy who makes it at that RV show in Tucson. I think it was about 30 bucks. And yeah, it's kind of expensive for a plastic tank like this, but it made my life a little bit easier, so I don't regret the purchase, and I'll continue to use it. It should last for many, many years because there's nothing on here to break. Right? A couple of seals where you hook up the hoses. That's it. So I call it a if you're a city water fill fresh tank person, a definite. I would call it almost a must-have for somebody who's gravity fed. Maybe, right? I don't regret the purchase, and I'll continue to use it. So on my camper, now that it's sat for about 6 hours, we're gonna drain all the water out. Here behind the tire is my freshwater drain valve. It's a blade valve, and so I'll pull that and dump the bleach water out. Fresh water is draining like crazy under there. It's going good. Pull the anode rod out, and we'll get that going, draining. So this hot water heater is made by Suburban, right? So it has an actual anode rod that goes in there, either aluminum or magnesium. The hot water heaters made by Atwood use a different type of material for their tank and don't require an anode rod. So they usually just have a plastic plug in this hole, or in a similar hole. And if we pop this here, it'll drain much faster. Just let it shoot all that water out of there. So this is another tool I got when we bought our first camper. The folks were getting out of camping completely, so we got a lot of their stuff. So I've had this for many years, but it's for flushing out your hot water heater, and it just hooks up to a hose, garden hose, and you take it. Let me flip the camera around. Well, gotta pause. So you just take it, slide it up into the water tank, turn the water on, just flush it around. You'd be surprised how much sediment and gunk comes out of these things. And so I just move it all around, try to get as much of that stuff in there stirred up as I can, and get it flushed out. You can kind of see the little particulates floating around there that are coming out of the freshwater or the hot water tank. And so I do this for a couple minutes, and then it's good to go. Okay, we're back on our freshwater fill. Let's back to the gravity feed filler here. We're going to run some water in there and flush out that tank a little bit. And very shortly that water will start coming out underneath. As you can see, well, you can't see from there. I'll let that run for a couple minutes and then let it fill up a little bit. Yeah, let it fill up a little bit and we'll be good to go there. And then just flush out the lines, and I'll probably just hook it up to the city water fill to flush out the actual plumbing, the toilet, the sinks, the shower, and the outdoor shower. Okay, so with the anode rod back in the hot water heater, I moved the hose around, hooked it up to the city freshwater fill, and we'll just turn this on to the hot water side, and we should end up with air. Yeah, and so that's going to run air for quite a while. It's a big tank on this camper. It's a 16 gallon. Most campers only have 6 gallons, so I'll let it fill the hot water tank. Once water starts coming out of that, then all I have left is to run hot and cold in all the spigots to flush the last of the bleach out, including the outside shower. Don't forget it, and we'll be done. Yep, so that's it, everyone. Real easy. Run a little water, hot. Run a little water, hot and cold, through all your spigots. Flush out the last little bit of that bleach, and you're done. Your system's ready and sanitized and ready to rock and roll. So hope this helped. Spring, this is kind of my routine. Every other year, the other thing I do is lube the the suspension, right? And double check all that, check the brakes, check the wheel bearings, all those different components. But I only do that every other year. So for this year, we're done for now. And yeah, that's it. So if you found this useful, I seriously think you should, well, I know you should, go over to fixyourcamper.com, click on the member link, check out our community. We're building a great place where everybody can get together and share information just like this, ask questions, support each other. It's really turning into something fantastic, and I'm really excited about it. So go on over, join us there, and I'll see you there. Thanks.